The River Thames in London, England. The name actually means dark, an adjective that became especially fitting on the night of the 20th of August 1989, when a pleasure boat filled with partygoers, many of them in their 20s, was hit by a dredger and sank, killing 51 of the 132 aboard. The Marchioness had been hired for a private birthday party by Antonio de Vasconcellos, who was turning 26. Having studied economics at Cambridge, the merchant banker was named as one of the dead, as was the skipper of the Marchioness, Stephen FALDO. The accident happened near Southwark Bridge at about 2 a.m. as the 1,475-ton dredger, the Bowbell, one of the biggest vessels on the Thames, smashed into the back of the 90-ton cruiser, flipping it over before hitting it again and running straight over it. In only 30 seconds, the Marchioness sank with many people still trapped below. A later inquiry by the Marine Accident Investigation Branch found the accident was caused by limited visibility from the wheelhouse of each vessel, both ships using the centre of the river, and the lack of instruction given to the Bowbell's lookout. Douglas Henderson, the dredger's skipper, was tried for not keeping a proper lookout, but was acquitted, although a coroner's inquest in 1995 determined that the dead had been unlawfully killed. Less than a decade later, the Bowbell herself was lost. Having been sold to a Madeira dredging company, she split in half and sank in March 1996. 6 years later, in 2001, another inquiry into Henderson's behaviour decreed that he should be allowed to retain his master's certificate, despite evidence that he'd previously lied about his qualifications. Meanwhile, a memorial to the victims was unveiled at Southwark Cathedral on the south bank of the Thames, not far from where the Marchioness went down. It reads, "Many waters cannot quench love." This is England's M1 motorway, near the village of KEGWORTH in Leicestershire. On the 8th of January 1989, at a little after 8 p.m, a Boeing 737, British Midlands flight number 92, crashed here as it was trying to make an emergency landing at East Midlands Airport, only a few hundred metres away. It was later revealed that the pilot, Captain Kevin Hunt, and his co-pilot, First Officer David McClellan, had made a fatal error. A fan blade had ruptured, causing the left engine to catch fire. But unable to see for themselves and not informed correctly by the flight crew, Hunt and McClellan switched off the right engine by mistake. Their confusion was due to a recent redesign of the air conditioning, which led them to assume that that was where the smoke they could smell was coming from. With both engines then out of action, they tried desperately to keep the aeroplane in the air. The 737 missed Kegworth, but hit the embankment of England's main motorway, causing the plane to break into 3 pieces. Drivers saw the aircraft on its way down and slowed, using their hazard lights to alert other motorists and almost certainly preventing injuries on the ground. There were 126 people on board, including 8 flight crew. Of these, 47 died, 39 at the scene and 8 later on. Out of the 79 survivors, 74 were seriously injured, including Captain Hunt and First Officer McClellan. It was revealed that though Hunt was a very experienced pilot, he'd only had 23 hours of flying time in this particular type of 737, the 400. McClellan had only 53 hours, and each had received just a day's classroom training on the instruments. A memorial was created in Kegworth's village cemetery, as was a garden using soil taken from the crash site. The memorial was dedicated to those who had died, those who were injured, and those who took part in the rescue operation. As the surviving victims recovered from their injuries, an investigation was held. 31 recommendations were made for safety improvements. Captain Hunt and First Officer McClellan were later dismissed following criticism of their involvement in the accident. While the first person on the scene, Graham Pearson, later received £50,000 in damages for the post-traumatic stress he experienced as a result of the 3 hours he spent in the wreckage helping survivors.
Three, two, one.